A father is searching for clues in the murder of his daughter.
I want everyone to think and double check your dash cam.
How he's mobilizing the community, determined to find justice for Kylan and Crystal.
Plus, as the search for Brian Laundrie intensifies, a vigil for Gabby Petito tonight in Sugar House. How people there are honoring her life.
Clear sky here across the state today, but coming up, the timing of our next cool down and chance for rain and what you can expect for smoky sky the next couple of days.
Oh my goodness.
Homes in Harriman damaged by floodwaters last month.
We've learned that there was previous issues of flooding in this area. The city knew about it.
The blow dealt by insurance, the pushback from the city, and tonight what homeowners demand of the city council.
It's a beautiful spot to get married here in Utah, but there's no water, no restrooms, and the reservation system is unusual.
I was like, yep, this is where we want to get married.
You're invited to a wedding at the Church of Dirt, coming up.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9, starts right now.
It has now been more than 1 month since Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner were found shot to death at a campsite near Moab.
No suspects have been named in this double homicide. The Grand County Sheriff's Office is investigating.
But Fox 13's Brian Schnee spoke with Kylan's father, who's been doing all he can to try and get answers.
We don't feel safe. Moab is crying out a plea that we do not feel safe.
The message Sean Paul Schulte has been hearing from some local residents. It's been roughly 5 weeks since the bodies of Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner were found in the La Salle Mountains outside of Moab. In the weeks since, Kylan's father, Sean Paul, has taken it upon himself to try and get some answers.
All I did was just provide a venue for local folks to come down and tell me clues.
Each day he puts up what he calls his clue booth at a local park in Moab. From there, he hopes people will come out.
Over 2 weeks, I probably got 30 or 35 clues. And, maybe only 4 or 5 of them were not really good clues.
He takes the clues and calls them in to either the Grand County Sheriff's Office or the FBI tip line. With no publicly named suspect or significant update from law enforcement over the past few weeks, Sean Paul doesn't want this case to go cold.
I want everyone. I want the hikers, the bikers, the jeepers. I want everyone to think and double check your dash cam and remember the girls were missing on the 13th of August and found on the 18th of August. So let's focus on the mountain during those times.
The most recent update from law enforcement came last week, but didn't reference anything specific pertaining to the double homicide investigation. Grand County Sheriff's Office, who's handling the investigation, discredited the timelines between Kylan and Crystal's murder and when Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie were in town. The Sheriff's Office would not share how they came to this conclusion. So for now, Sean Paul is seemingly leading the charge on the ground and keeping people aware on social media.
I mean, we need real clues that can identify a suspect, not, Gabby and Brian were close to us.
Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fox 13 News has reached out to the Grand County Sheriff's Office numerous times over the past several days. They did not provide any new insight into the double homicide investigation. However, did emphasize they are following up on leads and tips. There are 2 $10,000 rewards for information leading to an arrest in this case. Learn more at fox13now.com.
Tonight, memorials for Gabby Petito are continuing to pop up across the country and here in Utah.
Mourners gathered for a vigil in Sugar House this evening, honoring her life. One woman Fox 13 spoke with says everyone who attended felt like they needed to be there to remember Gabby and also other women whose lives were cut short.
Raising awareness for people who have been through domestic violence, or even are people who are still missing, or people aren't looking for her like they were for Gabby. Our Indigenous group, our African American community, being a Native American myself, I struggle every day worrying about that.
The FBI confirmed it was Petito's body that was found in Bridger Teton National Forest in Wyoming on Sunday. The cause of death has not been released, but it is being investigated as a homicide.
The search for Petito's boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, continues. Underwater dive teams are joining the search effort. 10 divers and 60 officers from multiple agencies are focusing on a 25,000-acre wildlife reserve in Florida. It's where Laundrie reportedly went for a hike before he vanished more than a week ago. Investigators are now looking into what role Laundrie's parents may have played in his disappearance.
If their son was innocent, I don't feel that they should have lawyered up as soon as he came back into the state.
At this point, Laundrie is still considered a person of interest in this investigation.
The Laundrie family's lawyer is getting pushback for photos on his social media pages. The attorney had photos of Gabby Petito right on his Yelp page, which have since been taken down, but prompted the Petito's lawyer to send a cease and desist letter. A copy of the letter explains Petito's family tried to take the photos down themselves, but could not, and that's why they took legal action. The letter also demands Laundrie's lawyer not post any photos of Gabby on any online platform moving forward. Stay with Fox 13 News, both on air and online, as we continue to track the very latest in the Gabby Petito investigation.
The parents of a Utah toddler who strangled to death in a window blind 5 years ago have won a large award from the company that makes the blinds. Elsie Mahe was 3 years old when she became entangled in her home in Lehi. Her parents, Reno and Sunny Mahe, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against several blind companies. Yesterday, a 3rd District jury awarded the Mahes $25 million in compensatory damages. And today, Century Blinds, Inc. settled for an undisclosed amount in punitive damages. Other companies named in the suit were dismissed before trial.
Now to a major announcement from the FDA about the Pfizer vaccine and its use as a booster shot. The FDA has authorized a single booster dose for senior citizens age 65 and older, also for anyone ages 18 to 64 that are considered to be in high-risk groups. Now, the dose is expected to be administered 6 months after they have finished their primary 2-dose series.
Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will need to mask up the next time they go inside a temple. The First Presidency sent a letter to church leaders today asking all temple patrons and workers to wear a mask at all times. The safety protocols are temporary and will be rescinded as COVID-19 surges decline.
Well, I don't know if we'll be the first to say it to you, but we'll say it anyway. Happy fall, everyone.
Yes, happy fall. We're so glad you made it this far.
Well, it felt like fall the last 2 mornings, but tomorrow morning will be a bit more mild because we're going to have quite a few clouds overnight. But right now, getting ready for bed, it's close to 65 to 70 for Salt Lake, Ogden, and currently Provo. Fairly light wind here across the state right now. Feels good all along the Wasatch Front. Upper 50s for Logan currently, mid 50s for Evanston. St. George still hanging on to 82 degrees. Now, compared to this time 24 hours ago, a little bit warmer out there, so noticeably warmer this evening, and then we have a few more clouds that are starting to move in. We'll also see the chance for a few showers possible near the Idaho border in the overnight hours into tomorrow morning, but mostly just expecting clouds here for Salt Lake City. Temperatures close to 55 when you first wake up tomorrow morning. And then coming up, I am tracking our biggest change in the 7-day forecast, which includes a cool down and a chance for rain. I'll let you know when coming up.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
We saw the crash. We saw how one of the officers was giving him CPR.
A stolen car leads to a chase with police, leaving one person dead. What we're learning tonight about the wild chain of events in Summit County.
There's one too many promises. I've been here. It's all been broken.
In 2021, this community over my shoulder has no infrastructure. The lieutenant governor and members of the legislature are trying to change that.
And people come from far and wide to tie the knot in a place you wouldn't expect in the Beehive State. We'll take you to the Church of Dirt in tonight's Uniquely Utah.
Can the Utah football team turn their season around? Coming up, Brant Keithy and Britton Covey will tell us why that's possible.
New at 9, Utah Congressman Burgess Owens has introduced the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act amendments of 2021.
Now, this would expand protections for people suffering from cancer and other diseases related to fallout from above-ground nuclear weapons tests during the 1950s and 60s. It would extend the existing program and funding through 2041. It would also increase compensation and establish a grant to study the impacts of uranium on people's health. Join us tomorrow night right here on Fox 13 News at 9 for a very special report on the widespread aftermath of the atomic bomb testing in the Nevada desert during the Cold War. Fox 13's Haley Higgins will introduce you to Utah's downwinders. That's tomorrow night only on Fox 13 News at 9.
Tonight, some Harriman residents spoke out at a city council meeting blaming the city for a flood that damaged homes back in August. Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher joins us live tonight from Harriman to explain why they say the city dropped the ball and the city says it's not responsible. Lauren.
Yeah, Bob. So those people either wrote in letters which were read here tonight or they showed up in person voicing those frustrations. One homeowner tells me he's had to shell out thousands of dollars of his own money to clean up what he sees as the city's mess.
When Ryan Phillips built his dream home, he never imagined
The water just broke right through the window and filled the room with water.
he'd have to rebuild his entire basement.
We're getting ready to put the drywall back in, and then we could sand it and paint it, and it's just and then put the baseboards and trim back, and there's just a lot. It's a long process.
A flood hit his Harriman neighborhood in August, damaging Ryan's home, he says, and others.
Oh my goodness.
A family renting Ryan's basement lost most of their belongings. Insurance wouldn't cover any of the estimated tens of thousands of dollars in damage. The basement wouldn't have flooded so much, he says, if it weren't for a lake's worth of water breaching this berm at the end of his street that surrounds a field.
It held and collected water all throughout the day, and then just broke through and released a tidal wave of water all at once. The more we've delved into this, we've learned that there was previous issues of flooding in this area. The city knew about it. That's why they started to build a berm. For whatever reason, it just got bogged down. They never finished it. But the city, they did not disclose that information to the residents.
An email Ryan says he received from the city explains the berm was constructed in an emergency response fashion, and for whatever number of reasons, it has yet to be revisited with the finishing elements. As to the question of the breach of the berm, that simply was a low, weak point in the berm which showed itself by the breach. So Ryan figured the city would take responsibility and cover costs. But when he made a claim,
Insurance company or the city, none of them have ever denied that the berm was done incorrectly. The only thing they're saying is that there's a statute in the Utah Code that grants them immunity. And only because of that, they're saying we're not going to help you. I'm just asking the city to cover my damages. That's all we're looking for.
which he expressed to the city council Wednesday night. Ryan's hoping it won't come down to litigation, that the council can authorize funds. He says the city did fix the berm, not that it helps him now.
Now that my basement's been destroyed, this berm that's been on hold for years, they suddenly made it a priority and managed to get it done. But it's a few weeks too late for us, unfortunately.
Now, Harriman City did confirm that that claim was filed, that their insurance denied that claim. They say that the insurance company, quote, determined that Harriman City would not be found negligent or liable in the matter. They also discussed the Utah law, including immunity from liability regarding the management of flood waters. Live in Harriman, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Lauren, thank you. A delegation of some of the state's top political leaders visited a community in the southeastern part of the state today that has absolutely no infrastructure. Right now, the community of Westwater has no power, no sewer, and no running water. But there is a push to change all of that. Here's Fox 13's Ben Winslow.
Renee Jean showed politicians how she lives here in Westwater.
Try to do the best to make everything work.
She trucks in water for her family and her neighbors.
Before winter, we try to get wood as much as we can because it gets pretty cold.
This small community of about 30 homes just outside Blanding has no infrastructure.
Blanding is right over there. I'm always struck by the green lawns.
Some of the reasons why the community of Westwater hasn't gotten infrastructure before is a little complicated. There's political and jurisdictional issues. It's technically Navajo land, but it's a part of the state of Utah. And putting in all this infrastructure isn't going to come cheap.
It makes no sense that we have a community living like this right here in our own state. We need to take care of our own. These are citizens of the state of Utah that deserve to have running water, they deserve to have electricity, and they deserve to have political leaders who can finally come together to solve this problem.
The lieutenant governor brought members of the legislature to Westwater in an effort to persuade them to fund improvements here using federal stimulus money.
It's one of those things, if we can't get it done this year, I don't know that we'll ever have an opportunity to do it again.
A number of entities, including the Navajo Nation, are on board.
This is going to be a huge project, really, when it's all said and done.
There's one too many promises. I've been here. It's all been broken.
But Westwater residents say they've been promised help before.
Thank you, Gladys.
Before you go, any promises that were made by the city of Blanding to get water here, that's too big for just Blanding. And so I'm sorry if that's ever been promised to you. But that's why everybody's here.
Yeah, but if you're going to do something, just tell the person. It might happen, it won't, and let's keep it like that instead of saying, I promise you.
There's no promise today.
Yeah.
This is hope.
Building infrastructure could cost millions. Blanding has indicated it's willing to connect Westwater to its own development plans.
I've always wanted us to be a community, not two communities.
This can be done.
After meeting the people of Westwater, some lawmakers were moved to help with funding requests.
It'd be really, really, really nice to have it where I could just go inside, flick on my heater, and just sit there and be like, yes.
In Westwater, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
It's a nice day here across the state. Now this evening, what has changed since earlier today? We have some more light smoke that has moved into the state, but our air quality is currently still in the good category for our particulate matter, our PM 2.5, and also our ozone. The forecast for tomorrow and Friday does call for moderately unhealthy air with voluntary action. So if you can cut back on driving, that'd be something that you could do. That would be nice. Now a beautiful view from our Ogre Cam down towards the Salt Lake Valley. So we've got a really nice evening. Temperatures currently 70 degrees just about here in Salt Lake City. And then we're going to end up with a chance for a few showers near the Idaho border this evening. So satellite and radar, we have had some more clouds that have moved in. We're seeing some thicker clouds right now, Bear Lake through the Cache Valley and moving into Salt Lake. So Harriman, you're starting to see partly cloudy sky. What this means is your temperatures tomorrow morning will be not quite as chilly as the last few mornings. What happens is these clouds somewhat act as a blanket and kind of trap that heat in at the surface. And so tomorrow morning when you wake up, that means temperatures in the mid to upper 50s as opposed to the record cold temperatures we had the last few mornings. So temperatures will be back into the 60s by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Overnight temps 7 a.m. around 40 for Park City. So if you're planning on waking up, going for a hike first thing in the morning, higher elevations, absolutely chillier. And then here in Salt Lake and Ogden, upper 50s, mid 40s for Logan, low 50s for Provo tomorrow morning. But during the second half of the day tomorrow, here's what you can expect. Temperatures in the mid 70s. So compared to today, just a tiny bit cooler, closer to average for this time of year. And then we're also going to see the chance for a few showers overnight up into southern Idaho by 4 a.m. You might see a few showers for the Cache Valley towards Evanston by 8:30 tomorrow morning. We're going to have those clouds into much of Utah by first thing tomorrow morning, and then second half of the day tomorrow could see a few showers mostly on the eastern side of our mountains into eastern Utah. Then we'll see a little bit of clearing into Friday, some passing clouds across the region through Friday afternoon, but We have a really nice weekend ahead. So if you've just been crazy busy the last few weeks this summer and you haven't really been able to get out and do a hike that you love or go to just a walking trail here in the valley that you really like, you'll have plenty of opportunities this weekend. St. George, you'll even have nice days, hot afternoons, but late mornings will be really nice. Temperatures will be around 90 degrees to 95 for St. George for the next week. Middle of next week, we're going to cool down though. So here's what you need to know. Salt Lake, upper 70s through Friday, 80s, mid 80s this weekend into early next week. And then we are cooling down next week with better chances for some more rain here across the state. Let's talk more about that and also what you can expect for that smoke over the next couple of days.
Thank you, Allison. Still ahead, a Utahn has pleaded guilty in connection to the January 6th Capitol riot. What charge he pled to and what's next for him.
And good news for fans of the Tabernacle Choir. You'll be able to hear their glorious voices in person once again. We'll explain the changes they're making to keep the music going.
Welcome back, everyone. Weber State's bus rapid transit system is about to get a new look and a brand new name.
The new official name, as decided by all of these partners, is Ogden Express, or OGX.
OGX. More than 10 groups have been collaborating for the past 6 months to develop a new name and bus design for the formerly known Ogden WSU BRT project. With the latest designs, this public transit system will be convenient for folks in northern Utah, but it will also help meet carbon neutral emission goals moving forward.
One of the things that we thought was really critical was how can we get electric? And I will be candid, Weber State was the first one to really raise that flag and say, can we do this?
And they are. Former President Donald Trump committed millions of dollars to a couple of projects in Ogden last summer, including this transit system.
Weber State University is offering energy-saving solutions with free LED light bulbs and a discount on smart thermostats. The sustainability team at Weber State and other organizations are providing thousands of free LED bulbs in 2 exchange events taking place September 25th and October 3rd. They are also offering smart thermostats normally priced at more than $160 for less than $60. The team says it's a win-win because it's more energy efficient and cost-effective for users.
There's actually a considerable difference. If you look at an incandescent compared to an LED bulb uses almost 85% less energy to create the same amount of light. So it's a huge difference, especially if you're, replacing multiple bulbs in your home.
They say this light bulb switch event could save you up to 40% on your utility bill.
A deadly accident all started by a car being stolen and then a police chase. The crazy turn of events coming up.
A Utah man looks like he's going to plead guilty to entering the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. That story coming up.
The Cougars lost their leading tackler, but they hope 2 young linebackers will help step in and fill the gap.
It's a beautiful free wedding venue with a uniquely Utah reservation system. The story coming up.
Tonight, police are investigating what led up to a fatal crash in Summit County.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph explains how a stolen car set off this chain of events.
So this morning we received a phone call into our dispatch center just after 9 a.m. They told us that their vehicle had just been stolen.
A stolen car leads to a police chase and a grisly wreck that leaves a female passenger dead, the male driver seriously injured, and a lot of questions. The car is stolen around 9 a.m. Several hours later, a deputy located it.
That deputy attempted to make a traffic stop. The vehicle fled. At some point while they were pursuing after that vehicle, they lost visual of that vehicle on 2 separate occasions.
Shortly after, another officer found the car and chased.
Sounds like speeds were in excess of 95 miles per hour.
Speeding down US 40, Summit County deputies decided to deploy spike strips.
The driver swerved out around those spikes and lost control of the vehicle which caused the vehicle to crash.
The car rolled, coming to a stop and scattering potential evidence in a field on the side of the freeway.
And just next to this accident, you could see this auto shop where employees tell me they witnessed the aftermath.
We were working, and then we just hit two sirens going on so fast. We were like, what's going on? And we saw the crash. We saw how one of the officers was giving him CPR.
Sowell also says he witnessed a life flight helicopter coming to take the driver away.
I feel sorry for the family. But yeah, we didn't see like the actual accident. We just saw the aftermath.
But police still have a lot of questions.
We have initiated our critical incident protocol, which we have brought in outside agencies to investigate.
Ultimately, law enforcement said from the stolen car to the reckless driving,
what we have to be greatly concerned about is the safety of the communities that we're serving.
Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Murray police are looking for a man who exposed himself to two female students at Murray High School. Detectives say it happened during after-school sports practices 1 week ago today. A school spokesperson couldn't comment on the incident because it's a law enforcement investigation. However, if you recognize that man who you just saw, call Murray Police.
It is a day Americans will never forget, the insurrection of the U.S. Capitol last January. Tonight, Fox 13 News has learned a Utahn will plead guilty to a charge stemming from the Capitol riot.
Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle has been tracking the Utahns charged in the insurrection.
3 counts against Jacob Weidrich have been dropped. A court docket indicates he'll instead plead guilty to 1 misdemeanor charge of parading or picketing in the Capitol building. 23-year-old Jacob Weidrich is from Sandy. He told the FBI he flew to Washington, D.C. by himself for the January 6th rally. Once the rally turned into an insurrection, Weidrich was among the mob that pushed past the barricades and entered the Capitol, according to court documents. Here's images of him captured on surveillance cameras. The FBI says it found videos Weidrich posted to social media saying, quote, "We made a statement that we won't put up with this fraud, the election of 2020.
Certainly in the case of this defendant, there were, to my knowledge, no allegations of violence at the Capitol or allegations that he had conspired with some, extremist group to go to disrupt the election.
John Lewis is a research fellow at the Program on Extremism at George Washington University.
With many of these misdemeanor cases for the defense at the U.S. Capitol, it's just largely a small, if any, prison sentence. Several have been sentenced to 6 months. Several have faced home confinement of a month or 2 at this point.
How should Utah regard this defendant if he doesn't have any known ties to an extremist group?
In many of these cases, we actually saw judges come to the conclusion that absent some, significant underlying factor or previous criminal conduct or history of violence, in many of these instances, simply an individual being at the Capitol was not enough to say that they are a danger to the community going forward.
Weidrich's change of plea hearing is scheduled for October 14th in Washington, D.C. via a teleconference. He has been free pending trial and did not respond to requests for comment. 6 other Utah residents are charged with Capitol riot crimes. 4 of those could be described much like Weidrich's case. They're accused of going where they shouldn't have been, but not assaulting or looting. In the studio, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Right now, the Mojave County Sheriff's Office along the Utah-Arizona border is asking for any information about a woman who's been missing since January. Take a look here. 21-year-old Marcelina Salgado hasn't been seen since she left work in Mesquite, Nevada on January 23rd. Her friends and family say her disappearance is suspicious, and police are trying to get in contact with her last known roommate, this man, Manuel Bravo Gil.
She was active on her social media, and that stopped on January 23rd. And then her cell phone also has since been shut off. And so no one's been able to reach her on her cell phone since January 23rd. And then she also has not returned to work, obviously, since then either.
A $2,500 reward is being offered for information that leads to Marcelina's discovery. If you know anything that can help, you're asked to call the Mojave County Sheriff's Office. Their number, 928-753-0753.
two dramatic turnarounds in Utah counties when you compare the number of deaths that they've had from COVID before and after vaccinations. We'll show you.
Vaccination rates vary widely all around the state, and in some places it's really easy to see the vaccine is making a big difference.
That's true in particular of Utah's largest county by population and its hardest hit county in terms of deaths. Fox 13's Max Roth takes an in-depth look.
You start with Utah's 29 counties. We're going to look at those with more than 10,000 residents, so we make sure the statistics are more meaningful. Two numbers, vaccinations and then deaths since vaccinations became widespread. We chose the date of March 1st this year. Summit County is the most vaccinated county in Utah, nearly 85% of those over 12. Salt Lake is next, then Davis and San Juan counties. Summit's overall numbers of deaths are low, 17 in a fair-sized population, but still nearly half of those have come since March 1st. Salt Lake has seen a big impact. Only 19% of COVID deaths in Utah's most populous county have happened since that March 1st date. But the most significant mover in all of this is San Juan County. They had the state's highest rate of death by far overall. But the Navajo Health Service got shots to their nation incredibly quickly. So San Juan now has the lowest percentage of their deaths coming since the beginning of March. Out of 39 COVID deaths in that relatively small county by population, they've had only 3 of them since March 1st. 80% of all doses in San Juan County, by the way, have been given out by the Navajo Health Service. It's really an amazing effort and a turnaround. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
People from all around the country are coming to this free wedding venue. We'll take you there in this installment of Uniquely Utah.
Coming up in sports, we'll hear from 2 young BYU linebackers who are ready to help fill the void left by the team's leading tackler. And we'll hear from Britton Covey and Brant Keithy on what they saw from Utah's offense that gives them confidence moving forward.
We have breaking news just into the Fox 13 newsroom from southern Utah tonight. The Washington County Sheriff's Office says a woman is in custody after stealing a patrol car and leading deputies on a multi-county chase.
Investigators say they pulled the woman over, suspecting the car she was driving was involved in drug trafficking. It was during the investigation she then jumped into a patrol car. Spike strips were used to stop her in Iron County. A man in the original suspect car was also taken into custody. Cocaine, meth, cash, and a stolen gun were also recovered.
Switching gears now, people from all over the country are traveling to a special spot in Utah to get married. It's called the Church of Dirt.
Fox 13's Todd Tanner takes us there in this installment of Uniquely Utah.
It's unique for people, at least where we're from, to come here and, have that special moment.
Haley Brinkman and Taylor Bryant.
We met on a dating app, actually.
Traveled all the way from Georgia to Utah to tie the knot at a place with limited seating, no electricity, and no roof.
It's just up there, I think it's like 9,000 feet or so.
But it does have one incredible view. How did they find it?
Came across a website of a photographer around the area that had I think, photographed a wedding there and promoted it.
For a couple that met online, finding a wedding location online wasn't a stretch.
She loves to travel.
Or was it?
Being a Southern boy, I always had the thought that I'd get married in a traditional church.
It still had church in it. It says Church of Dirt, so it kind of counted as a formal church, I think.
The Church of Dirt is little more than a few benches and an arbor off the side of a trail high above Park City. There's no cost to use it, but there is a bit of a catch.
It is just a reservation system of writing your name and your date and your phone number on a rock or a piece of wood.
In order for the venue to stay, Park City officials say there can be no online reservation system, no one in charge, just a community effort to keep the process simple and the area clean.
So I was a little bit concerned of double bookings.
But it all worked out for Haley and Taylor.
When he walks down the aisle, it'll be Pirates of the Caribbean theme song.
The Officiant is one of Taylor's co-workers. Marrying here, they say, allowed them to customize their special day.
We thank you for being here to share this special day
In a place that feels as special to them as any church ever could.
Taylor, you know me better than I know myself most days. And somehow you still manage to love me.
Promise to always help you no matter what you ever need.
I think it's a great option. Being kind of one with nature, you're really just a part of the mountain, the landscape.
you may kiss the bride.
Todd Tanner, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Church of Dirt.
Priceless backdrop there.
Oh, beautiful scenery.
Wow, what a story.
And the price is right.
That's free $99.
That's right.
And they must have beautiful wedding pictures.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they do.
Well, in other news, in-person rehearsals now officially back on for the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square.
But not without some big changes. Take a look. Choir President Mike Levitt says public health officials helped craft the plan to return. All performers must be vaccinated. They all get tested before each practice or performance. They wear masks except when performing or rehearsing, and only half the choir sings at each performance to allow for social distancing.
It feels so good to be back in the conference center, to be back on Temple Square, to be back in the choir loft. We have been waiting for this for so long, and we're anxiously ready for it. We're so ready to be here.
The choir is scheduled to sing at October Conference in just a few weeks. Live broadcasts of music and the spoken word are also being planned.
Another gorgeous day. Kind of ironic that today is the first day of fall and we're actually warmer today than we have been over the past
2 days.
several days.
Yeah.
The last 2 days of summer were definitely cooler than our first day of fall, especially the last couple of mornings. But Salt Lake City right now, it's around 70 degrees. We have light wind right now out of the west. And we also have some surface smoke that has moved in from California. So right now, most of that smoke is centered over Nevada and California, but we head through the evening hours and we're mostly going to focus on southwestern Utah to have some more of that light to moderate smoke. What you're seeing on your screen right now with the areas of blue, and the lighter blue especially, that's more of just a haze out there. So somewhat smoky, but we head into Friday and we're going to see an improvement to southern Utah, but we'll still keep a little bit of that haze around. 50 currently in Tooele. 69 degrees in Salt Lake, 66 in Provo, 64 currently in Ogden, and St. George holding on to 80s right now at 82 degrees at almost 10 o'clock tonight. Now, we do have a few more clouds that have moved into northern Utah. So what this means for you is that tomorrow morning, it'll be a bit more comfortable when you first wake up. You might not need the warmer jacket that you needed the last few mornings. So North Salt Lake, Magna, West Valley, Holiday, Draper, Bluffdale, we have partly cloudy sky currently. We also have clouds moving through Price, through Loa, Panguitch, all the way down into Washington County. So temperatures tomorrow will be a little bit cooler than today, but still close to average. We have fairly calm wind here across the state currently. Today's high was 80 degrees, which was 2 degrees above average for the first day of fall. And then our sun will rise tomorrow about 7:15 in the morning. So the temperatures when you first wake up, upper 50s here in Salt Lake City, low 60s by 10 a.m. and then into the 70s by 2 p.m. Overnight temps 7 a.m., upper 50s for Ogden and Salt Lake, 51 in Provo, 39 in Park City first thing tomorrow morning. So if you're planning on getting out and going for a hike tomorrow, you'll definitely want to dress warmly as you head out the door. And then you'll want to make sure you have those sunglasses with you because by tomorrow afternoon, we'll see less clouds here along the Wasatch Front and mid-70s. It'll be a really pleasant Thursday here across a lot of the state. Chance for a few showers near the Idaho border this evening into Cache Valley first thing tomorrow morning. Wouldn't be surprised if those pop up into tomorrow afternoon across eastern Utah. But besides that, we are tracking things pretty dry here across the state for the next few days. And then we get today's 6 to 10. So towards the end of September into early October, we are tracking likely wetter than usual here across Utah. So that's towards the end of our 7-day forecast. St. George, we keep you in about 90 to 95 through Monday. Start cooling down middle of next week with a high of 82 next Wednesday. And then for Salt Lake, Saturday through Monday, we're going to keep those temperatures close to 85 degrees, and then we'll be cooling close to 70 middle of next week.
With BYU leading tackler Keenan Pili out the rest of the season with an injury, the 15th-ranked Cougars will need other linebackers to step it up this Saturday against South Florida. Peyton Wilgar has started every game at the flash linebacker spot. Max Tooley will start at the rover linebacker, and now Ben Bywater will move over to Pili's old spot at Mike linebacker.
I'm prepared. I feel great. I mean, I've been training at that Mike position since the beginning of August, so it's nothing new to me. I mean, and I feel like I got a good feel for the defense, so I'm excited. It should be super fun this Saturday with going against South Florida.
We feel confident with the guys stepping up. We got some good linebackers. There's really not much drop-off, to be honest. I think we should have it under control in the linebacker room. You know, Keenan trusts in us. We trust in the process, and you know, we're just going to try to fill in the spots and fill in the holes as much as we can.
Well, after losing 2 games in a row, the Utes will try to put all that behind them and focus on tactical play. Starts this Saturday at home against Washington State. The Utes have a new starting quarterback in Cam Rising after he played well in Utah's comeback attempt against San Diego State last Saturday. Well, the defense has played well all season long. The offense saw their potential.
It showed good signs for our offense. Defense, I mean, they did as well as we wanted to do. We just put them in bad positions. So, yeah, I mean, it's optimistic. I mean, we knew what we could do. It's just we've just been starting off slow and sluggish the whole time, all season. And y'all saw in the fourth quarter what we were capable of, and we need to go into this week like that.
We played with a sense of urgency, not just Cam, the whole team. I mean, the offensive line was playing better in the fourth quarter, receivers. At this point, with 2 losses and things, I don't want to say anything that's going to set expectations for us to win all these games. I just know that our team is in a much better headspace right now.
The Las Vegas Raiders have signed Jackson Barton, the former Brighton High School and Utah Ute offensive lineman. Barton joins the Raiders from the New York Giants practice squad. This will be his 4th NFL team after he was a 7th-round pick by the Indianapolis Colts in the 2019 NFL Draft. The same year, his brother Cody was picked by Seattle Seahawks in the 3rd round. The Utah Jazz have signed Justin James to a 2-way contract, the 40th overall pick in the 2019 draft by the Sacramento Kings after playing college basketball at Wyoming. Averaged 4 points per game last season with the Kings, scored 31 points in their second to last game of the season last year. The Jazz start training camp next week.
In Las Vegas.
The Jazz will be playing basketball before we know it.
I know.
Should be fun to see them all back together.
It's a great time of year when football and basketball collide.
Yeah,
always something to watch on TV, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Word of warning here. This is what happens when you put an egg in a microwave. Watch this again. This is a Utah County Sheriff's deputy.
Ow, that must have been so hot.
That'd have been
Must
scary.
have been.
Oh my goodness.
Must have, yeah, you don't expect your egg to just blow up on you, do
Did he just put the whole thing in the microwave?
Apparently, yeah, that's what he did.
I don't think he'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Quick Cast is next.